Hello and welcome to Tonight at 8 from the RSGB. Although in the UK and some other countries there's now no licence requirement to keep a log of ham radio contacts, many radio amateurs still keep a record, either for essential reasons such as contest entries or to simply keep a record of those QSOs to look back on for interest or personal pride. Fortunately, there's a healthy selection of computer-based programs offering logging and much more, many of which are free. And tonight we're going to find out more about the popular Log4OM application with Terry Jean's G4POP. So a very warm welcome to Tonight at 8, Terry. Could you start by giving us a quick overview of what you'll be covering this evening?
Yes, good evening, David. Yeah, well, I was going to cover how it all started and our aims and objectives, and then the early days of development and how we progressed over the last 10 years, or coming up to 11 years now, and also bit of a presentation followed by a live demo of the program running and going through some of the features it includes.
Right, well, that sounds wonderful. We look forward to that. But before your presentation, a reminder that if you at home are watching this on Monday the 7th of November, then this is live and you can ask questions and make comments on either BATC or YouTube at any time during the presentation or straight afterwards. Please include your first name and call sign if you have one within every message. And please note that you can make this video stream fill your screen on most devices, usually by double clicking on the picture or pressing the full screen button. But now let's go back to Terry to find out all about Log4OM.
Good evening and welcome to the presentation. As you see, Log4OM is on the web, so if you want to look it up on Google, you'll find it quite easily. But first of all, a little bit about where we came from. Did we need another logging program? Why? And how did it begin? Well, a friend of mine and myself were working quite happily with Simon Brown as alpha testers for many, many years. And then Simon sold the program in mid-2011 to an American company. And at first, Chuck and I said we carry on alpha testing, and I was helping writing things for it. But it didn't work out with the American company, so we already knew of Lily, who's our chief programmer, and we all got together in November of 2011 and started to make a small program based on one that Lily had already constructed. So these were the main instigators. Was our main programmer, Daniele, known as Lely, in the middle. My dear friend Chuck on the right-hand side, K7PT. He's now unfortunately passed away. He was the expert on the wards with helping Simon, and was a great asset, and also with Log4OM when we first started. But as I say, he died a few years back, and the ugly face on the left is me. And we have now, as of now, two teams that help us with the testing. The alpha team is a smaller one, it's 8 people, and most of them have been with us since about 2012, 2013. And they do all the prime testing, so they might do 2 or 3 different test packages in a day, then there'll be nothing for a week, and then there'll be another test, but we keep them quite busy. And the beta team is about double the size. A lot of those have been with us for a long, long time. And once we've got something sort of almost ready for release, they carry on and do the beta testing. Once they're happy with it, and we seem to hopefully iron out all the bugs, we then release it to the general public, as it were. What were our objectives for version 1? Pardon me, a bit of a cough. First of all, it had to be fast and easy to use. The security of the data, of course, was of prime importance, and luckily Lely is a chief programmer, one of the largest banks in Italy, and his big thing is data, of course, bank data, very precious. So security was good. We had to have accurate call sign lookups from the online specialist information provided by people like QRZ.com and so on, and full award coverage. by default of the DXCC awards and so on, plus special user-defined awards. More on that subject later. Full integration with external software wasn't quite as easy in version 1. We had, if you like, an application that we built between the program and the external programs called the communicator, which made it a little bit unwieldy, but it worked. And of course, cat control to synchronize the radio and with the other integrated programs. So that was what version 1 looked like when we first brought it out in January 2011. No, 2012, sorry. And fairly clean and basic. It did what it said on the tin. We've got quite a few people using it. Didn't really think it was going to be a big competitor to the major market leaders, if you like Ham Radio Deluxe and DX Labs and Log4OM and people like that. We thought it would be a bit of a niche market, but just the guys, as it said, the title Log4OM is Log4 Man, as in the wording we use as hams, OM, man. So we thought it would be a limited following, but we needed a logger, and we just let everyone use it. So then it exceeded our expectation over the years. You can see the growth rate up until about 2019 was a fairly steady upward growth. But then it rocketed up when we brought out version 2, because version 2 was a totally different ballgame. And with version 2, we had a different set of aims, really. What had happened with version 1 was that we built the framework, not knowing it was going to be so many different demands put on it. And a bit like when you build a house, if you build the foundations only to support a bungalow, very difficult then to build a 2 or 3 story house on top of it. Foundations won't take it. And you need major changes. So we decided to start again. And we started over in 2018 and took a couple of years before we released the first edition of version 2. We needed to also create a more versatile award system, because the award system we had in the version 1 was pretty complicated, and it also had a lot of limitations as things we could not do. So somebody came up and asked us for a particular award. It was very difficult to construct it, and at times impossible. We also wanted to provide a state-of-the-art method for communicating with other software, mainly by UDP, but by all different methods, as required by the other software programs. And we wanted to add facilities requested by the users, which, as I say, in version 1 were not possible due to the structure. And we wanted to make it more easy to adapt to changes when other software changes took place and when online services changed. So you might get an online lookup company and suddenly they change the way you look up, how you access the data. And we needed to be able to change very rapidly with that. There's nothing worse than the guy suddenly saying to you, it doesn't work. It's not looking up anymore. It was working this morning, now it's stopped. Of course, then we have to jump on it fairly quickly. So we needed to have something quite a lot more adaptable than version 1. So version 2 came out January 20, and that's what it looked like, or what it looks like today. I think a bit prettier. It's certainly got a lot more facility on the front page, as it were, with the maps and actually looking up the online image and presenting it like the QSL card. So that's basically what our aims and objectives were. So now let's see if we can show you it working live. Hold on.
Just a reminder to everybody at home now, if you're watching this live on Monday, 7th of November, then you'll be able to ask questions and make comments as well, indeed, on BATC and on YouTube. Anyway, Terry, back to you.
Okay, we've got it live now. I'll just change the radio. You see the frequency is changing in the top left-hand corner there as I twiddle the VFO knob. The program's actually at the moment linked up to a Sun SDR transceiver, the DX 100-watt transceiver, and it integrates very, very well. So in the main window here, you've got the inputs area up in the top left-hand corner here, where you can see call sign written, and world map down the bottom, and another world map, which will come obvious in a minute. And on the right-hand side here, we've got a cluster open, and I'll just click on a call sign, and you'll see it's looked up the call sign. It's shown where it is, a much more close-up map. You can see where the guy is located. It would appear this guy hasn't got a photo on QRZ. I'll try another one, and you see we've got the QRZ image there. Or if I type in my own call, you'll see the card again, my card at the top. What it's done there is looked up. It's telling me here that I've worked the station on the band and the mode. Now the guy's a LOTW user, EQSL user. He sends QSL cards and he's on QRZ.com. If I were to click the QRZ.com, it would bring up the web page. The middle part here is showing whether I've had QSLs from the country, from the particular station, by the band, and by the mode. So you get a pretty comprehensive, quick picture there. You can also bring up another view over here, which shows which are confirmed, what bands, what modes have been confirmed on. Integrated into this main screen, we have the recent QSOs. That's, if you like, the logbook, your whole logbook. And there is the cluster, more of which later, but you can see it's coloured, telling me that, for instance, I haven't worked Togo because it's red. So we need to work that guy on digital, but he's on FT8. So you've got a comprehensive look at what the spots are doing. And there is a good feature included in Log4OM, which is the super cluster, which actually integrates with HRD log and picks up the spots from their cluster, which are real-time spots and sent by other HRD log users. Very nice facility. So that's the main interface. I can also look and see what the propagation possibilities are for that particular call sign. At the moment, you see it's looking up call signs in the UK. Looks like it could work any time of the day on 80 metres, which is about right. And you'll see the timeline here, just after 8 o'clock. The dips are where I would find difficulty. Try the different stations, see what the likelihood of that is. And you see with this station here, who's in Azerbaijan, there's a likelihood of me working in here because the green area is showing a high likelihood, 80% likelihood of me working. But if it was between 5 a.m. and say 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a great big hollow where I wouldn't be able to work in. And that's quite a useful little facility. So that's the main area there. The program also supports Kia, and we open up a Kia window here, and this can be used as a completely separate window. You can close the main window down because it does exactly the same as the main window, but it will work either a wing Kia or it integrates with a Flex Radio Kia, which is like a built-in wing Kia, and also with the Sun SDR wing Kia system. At the moment, it doesn't include COM-port keying, but that's something we've got on the stocks. There is also in the program a voice Kia. So it's a bit of a standalone job. The next thing you perhaps wanted to look at is see how you're doing for your DXCC awards. So we have a window here which will show you the DXCC status. Takes a second because it's got to check the whole log. not particularly fast tonight because I'm using video as well. But you can there see that's the mixed results on this particular logbook, or the verified stations, verified by Logbook of the World or whatever, or by a card, and stations worked. If there were any that had been submitted for credit, they would be shown as C accredited and orange coloured. Then if you want to see, or whatever, what have I done for this one? It will, clicking on the country, will bring up the stations you've worked on that country. And you go, I haven't had a QSL card from this guy, let's trace him and get a card. Also in the awards side, it's possible for the user to set up his own awards. This is the award manager. There's about 70 odd awards already programmed in. SOTA, IOTA, Lighthouses on the Air, Work Tool Britain, fair amount of awards worldwide, some for Italy and German awards and so on. Or you can construct your own one. If you wanted to see an award for every time you worked with a guy called Jack, you can make the award yourself, or you can make a club award. If you wanted to make an award related to working every station that belonged to your club. So it's quite a comprehensive thing and very versatile. You can almost do anything with that now. We also have a nice little facility which I use more or less daily, which is the net control. And the net control is a little bit like a flight controller's dashboard, if you like. You get the users who come up on the net regularly in the right-hand window here, and you literally drag and drop them into the on-air window. And as you drop them there, the time is set that they joined. And when they leave, you've dragged them back into the net user side. The end time is set as well, and the station is logged into the logbook. Quite a handy facility. And in my own version, this is actually a test log I'm looking at here, so I haven't actually got a net built into it. But in my own version of Log4OM, I have several nets I belong to. So that's quite handy. There's also a chat facility, which is a bit like a messenger. You have your friends online. For instance, I want to see if a friend of mine is online. I can look up, and no, he's not on. Looking to see if my friend Charlie was on there, or even Lily, perhaps, W3. No, Lily. But if there was somebody on there I wanted to chat to, I'd click on the call sign. I can see what frequency is working on, what mode is working on. I can go on here, call him up. Alternatively, I can send him a message and say, well, stop talking to the guy you're talking to. I want to chat to you. But it's a nice little tool. So those are some of the facilities. Obviously, pardon me, there are times when you'll need to deal with QSL cards. There's a QSL manager, which is quite an easy thing to use. You literally say, well, I want to send my eQSL cards, and just search and see which ones need uploading, and ultimately you get a list. And so you select them to be uploaded, go to the upload, and then it tells you how many QSLs you're going to upload. Press the button and they all go straight up to eQSL automatically if you need to, or you can have it done as you log the call sign. If you log the station, you can have it automatically send the confirmation to Logbook of the World, Club Log, eQSL, any of the online logs that allow automatic uploads. QRZ, in fact, have only just started doing that after several years of only being a download situation. So that's the program working. I'll hand it back to David, and we'll see if there's any questions on answering.
Lovely, Terry. Well, thank you for that. It's obviously an amazing program, very, very flexible. So as we have a bit of time this evening, if you would like to ask questions specifically or want to see a particular feature, I'm guessing that Terry can show that since he has a live computer version of the program running there. So if you've got a question or a comment, or maybe you use the program and you're very happy with it, or suggestions for it, or anything at all, pop them onto BATC messaging or onto YouTube messaging for us now. We've got a few comments for you, Terry, as well. I'll start off with, there's lots of compliments, firstly, I must tell you, which I'm sure won't surprise you. Terry 2E0IPK, this is a bit of a, I suppose, maybe a slight criticism. I use this already. It was better, though, when I had Windows 10. I can't get cat control working on Windows 11. Now, I know you can't see his computer system or anything, but do you have any suggestions about what might have gone wrong on the switch between Windows 10 and Windows 11?
I tell you what, that is actually the most regular question we get. And it's not an easy one to answer just like that, because it's a bit like you're saying to a doctor, I've got something wrong with me, doctor. What can I do to put it right? Because without further information, it's almost impossible. I need to really know what radio the guy's using, how he's interfacing it to the PC, whether he's using Hamlib or Elmlyric. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. The best thing I can suggest for that one, because it's something I can't give you a quick answer on this sort of presentation, is to email me or go on the forum. First thing to do is go on our forum and read the frequently asked questions, and in there you'll see one that's actually headed, I can't get cat control to work. Follow the lead in there. It'll tell you what information I need to help you. And it'll also, in the process, probably show you where the problem is anyway. But I'm sorry, I can't answer that one, David. Just like that.
That's fine. I'll tell you what we're going to do as well.
Just as an extra, I've got it working. This, what you're seeing tonight, is on Windows 11.
So it definitely can work. All right, well, that's good. So have a look at that. In fact, we're just going to put at the bottom of your screens now the address. I'm sure you'd find it quite easy on a search engine, but there we are, log4om.com. Very easy. And that's how to find the program and how to contact everybody as well. A few other comments for you. Actually, I have had one as well in advance by email, which is unusual, but very happy to ask it. This comes from Victor G3JNB, who says the new Verac Digi program provides a direct and automatic upload of QSOs to Log4OM, but mine do not seem to be accepted or appear in the recent QSOs list in the program, and therefore do not make it up to LOTW, Log of the World. Please advise. Can you help him without knowing more?
Yes, I know what's possibly the trouble there. When you go to click search and the ones that you need to be uploaded, what it does is it searches on how you've set the Logbook of the World confirmation status. And I'll probably lay a bet that you've got the status set to requested rather than no. It's looking for no, and if you've got requested there, it's not going to find anything. There are actually 3 YouTube videos I did about confirmations. Each one covers a different aspect of uploading, downloading cards, QSLs, LOTW, whatever. And that'll give you a pretty good explanation of this business with the yes, no, and requested situation. That's where the key to your problem is.
All right. Well, Terry, thank you for that hint. That's really good. Now, another sort of comment and maybe a suggestion here from George Anderson, GM3BSQ or GM0VGI, looking for more info on Log4OM to replace HRD log-free version to allow multiple call sign operators for Aberdeen Amateur Radio Society logging. So I guess what he's asking is, would this do it?
Sorry, would you repeat the question?
I will, yeah. He said, looking for more information on Log4OM to replace HRD, so that's Ham Radio Deluxe, isn't it? Log-free version to allow multiple call sign operators for Aberdeen Amateur Radio Society logging. So I guess his question is about allowing multiple call sign operators for one society?
Very, very, very easy. If the guy can watch the screen.
Yeah, we'll bring the screen up now.
Right, this is the program configuration window. And if he goes to the station information window, what you would have here is the station call sign. Let's say it's GB3 ABC or something like that for the club. That's what would go in the station call sign. The owner's call sign, which is down at the bottom here, would be the same. But the operator call sign would change by the person who's sitting there with the microphone in his hand. So all you have to do is, when the guy takes over running the station, he just pops into this particular screen, changes the operator call sign to G6CNQ or whatever, and then saves the configuration and carries on. Every QSO he logs will be logged against him as a station operator.
Okay, Toe, thank you. I hope that sort of explained it for you. Let me see who that was. I'm just looking through some of the other points and questions. You see, that was for George Anderson there. Can you explain the net function a bit more, please?
Okay. The net control, with this one, you probably want to make a new net first of all. So let's say you're doing the RFR's net. Okay.
Okay. Well, we're going to pop it up there. There we are.
Okay. RFR's net. Let's see if I can make this a bit bigger for you. Might make it slightly better. And all you do with this is you add a user. We've got to open the net first of all. So the net's now open. So add a user, and you get a window come up, and we'll put in there G4POP. Okay. You can put in whatever else you want to look up, or you can ask the URZ lookup to be done, and it fills in the form. Once you're happy with that, just close the window, and the call sign. Sorry, I've done it wrong. The call sign will appear in this pane here. I should have added. I forgot to put the call sign in. G4POP. I'll do the search. Okay, now add it. Okay, so now you've got a user in this side. And when the guy comes and calls you the following day, all you do is drag him across this side, and he goes into the on-air side of the screen. Now, at that point, it's set the start time. So that's the time he joins your net. When he finishes on the net, you drag him back into the other side, and that's at the end time, and it's added into the log. And then when you finish, you close the net, and that's it. And you can have as many as you like here, for 999,000 people using the net. And once they've come on the net once, that is retained. And the next time you open that RFR's net, you will find all the names are listed in there. If I open the net again, you see G4POP has just come straight back, ready for you to drag him across for the next time. But that's how the net control works.
Lovely, thank you. That was. I hope that's helped Simon GM0SCA. Now we've got another question from Richard G8PGA. Is the log data stored in a format which can be read or exported to other logging programs?
Sorry, say that again.
Is the log data stored in a format which can be read and exported to other logging programs?
Yes, the actual database is an SQL-Lite database. That's the way we save it. But, of course, you're going to export all of the QSOs in your log, either by going to export ATIF, and then you just export in the normal way, and that's interchangeable with any other logging program that uses an ATIF format. Or if you just wanted to send a number of QSOs, say those, select that half a dozen, right-click, and export the selected to the ATIF, and that'll do the same thing. So yes, very interchangeable.
Lovely, thanks. And there's a slight PS, two very similar questions really. Richard asks, the .NET framework is available on Mac OS. Can this be installed on a Mac? And also, in a similar question really, Simon M7WWX asks, are there any plans to port this to Linux?
I should have stated right up front, no, it's only a Windows program.
Okay, so no plans or anything to go to other platforms. Okay.
No, we did it with version 1. When we first started off, we tried to make it cross-program, but there was a problem with the Linux and Mac libraries that weren't really compatible. It just didn't work terribly satisfactory. So rather than have all the complications, we said no.
Okay, fine, thank you. Chris G7VEO says, can you show again how to download logbook data from QRZ?
From QRZ?
So we'll go back to your page. We just go back to your computer there. There we are.
Yeah. So there's the main page of Log4OM. If you type a call sign in, I'll put somebody else in here. Type a call sign in, and the second you tab out of the field or leave the field, it does the lookup. Done it.
Right, I hope you... Can you just do it again? Because I think... Can you... I know it's going to be perfectly clear on your computer, Terry, but obviously people sometimes are going to be looking at this on a small device or maybe slightly lagging. So I think if I can ask you just to do it a little, maybe explain where your cursor is going there for people who've got the program.
In the top left-hand corner here, there's a field with a red line around it.
Okay.
A white box with a red line around it, just underneath the frequency here.
Yeah.
Type in the call sign with your keyboard. And when you leave that field, either by pressing the tab key on the keyboard or clicking into another field like that, it's immediately done the lookup.
Well, I hope that's helped.
Bear in mind, it's not only done the lookup of QRZ or whichever online lookup you're using, it's also looked right through your logbook, checked every QSO to see whether you've got it confirmed or not. Not only is the country confirmed, but the country by band, by mode, and the actual call sign has been worked before. All does at the same time. And just to complete the picture, you come to the, this is the configuration window in Log4OM. And you'll see here, this is where you configure which lookup system you're using. I have a primary lookup with QRZ.com. There's my call sign and my password. I have a secondary lookup with HamQTH, my call sign and my password. I could also use QRZCQ or HamCall online, or if you've got a HamCall database installed on your computer, you could look up your own internal HamCall database. So you've multiple sources for the information, and they all work the same as I've just shown.
That's great. Thank you, Terry. A few other comments and questions. Terry has put actually the details of his rig and what he's running, but I think you answered his first question. It was about the Windows 10 or 11 possibly, and I think it's best to look at the forum, isn't it, probably, and then email you if you can't answer the question from that, probably. Yeah,
I mean, it's always difficult to cover individual problems with people when you're doing something like this, not only because it's, could take up a hell of a lot of time during the presentation, but because you need to ask so many questions and find out more information, because you never know quite what state the guy's situation is. It could be on a network, and it could be something being blocked through a network. You just don't know. So it's best really to go on the forums, the first place. The other thing, of course, I say is, I don't like saying it, but I'll say it anyway. Read the very fine manual we provide, which is some 230 pages long. Watch the 21 YouTube videos we provide, the tutorials. And if you can't find an answer there, which I'll be most surprised at, come on the forum, send us an email. We're there all the time. We've got 26 people covering the forum all the time. You can get us on Facebook. You can get us on Telegram.
Yeah, no, it's a remarkable service. It sounds like you're providing a better service than many paid programs and many large professional companies. So, I mean, what's it like being part of that, actually? Just diverting slightly from the general questions that we've got on the program itself, because clearly this has been a big work. You said, I think you started this work, the team started work on version 2 in 2018. So, that's quite a dedicated lot of work for something that you're never going to charge for and never going to receive any
Yeah,
revenue for?
it was version 2 was 2 years in the making. It was a lot of work, but the 2 years was worth spending, David, because whereas with the version 1, we sort of had a cold start and then released it within a month or two. And we had time to sort of evaluate what we were doing and make sure we got it right so that we didn't have to redesign the whole thing again.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. And it's just amazing. I think on behalf of everybody who's using this program, and many people have already put comments as well up, thank you very much to you and all of the team for providing such a piece of work like this and providing it free as well. I've got a few other specifics, if that's all right, that we could cover.
Yeah, sure.
Try and cover.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, well, I will say it is very, very much a team.
Yes, I'm sure.
If I'm having a few days off, there's always somebody who'll cover, and perhaps I'll say to a friend in the States, W9MDB or someone like that, Dave, and say to him, look, I'm going away for a couple of days, but I've got this guy in Texas who needs some help. Could you get on the line to him, talk to him on TeamViewer?
Yeah, amazing.
And they do.
It's really amazing support. And I think people have probably enjoyed the demonstration you've given tonight and the overview, and probably just taking advantage of the fact that you are there live for us now. So again, a final reminder to everybody at home now, if you're watching this on Monday the 7th of November, this is live, and you can make comments and questions and ask questions as well. George GM0VGI says, what about individual logs for special events? Is creating a specific desktop shortcut the best method?
Well, you can do it a couple of ways. I do special events myself sometimes, and I just have one logbook. The reason for that is that when I'm looking up a call, I can see whether I worked that station at the special event station or from my private house or whatever. So I use just one log, and I changed the call sign, as you saw earlier. I would change the station call sign. The operator call sign would still be me. I'd change the station call sign to the special event station. And then when I perhaps wanted to send the cards out, the program will sort by that particular call sign. So, in the QSL manager, if you can see what I'm going to show you, you are able to select, you can do it here anyway, but you can filter the program by a fielding. So you could say filter by the station call sign, and it would filter just for that special event, or you could filter by the date and then send all the cards according to that particular date. So it's quite easy to do that. You can also, when you're looking at awards, you'll find in the awards system, I'll show you DXCC, it's probably easiest. Right, down on the left-hand side of this award thing here, if you look, there's a drop-down box, and you can filter the awards by the particular call sign. Now, that happens to be a special event station, VED, GB4 VED, that I did a couple of years ago for a Victory in Europe Day, VE Day. And if I filter by that, it will give me all the QSOs we had with that particular call sign. So you don't really need to have multiple logbooks. You can have as many as you like, and you can just open a different logbook. I'm going to open your database, and then select your database from here, open, choose whichever one you want to use, and just open the database. And you've got the particular database applicable to the special event station. So, there's lots of ways you can use it. You can have a completely different configuration. You might be having a special event station away from your area. Perhaps you want different grid reference or something like that. It's completely flexible, so there's nothing you can't change, really.
No, thank you. Jeff, G4XMJ, says, I've noticed that on many QSOs, the frequency counter column shows 0. This used to happen on version 1 as well. Any ideas why this is so?
No, this would be I imagine this is historic QSOs he's talking about, not something that's happening now. We did have a period, I've got to say, where we encountered a few imports from different programs where people were migrating from different software to us, where the import only provided the band. It didn't actually provide the frequency, so that caused a zero on the frequency. We also have that with one of the contest loggers still doing the same thing, doesn't provide a frequency. And I have to admit that we did have one particular situation where we had an error in the program, which caused a lot of QSOs to be logged without a frequency, just the band was logged. So it could be any one of a number of
things. Just to interrupt you, sorry, it does say no still happens now. Jeff has come back, the person who asked that question. But did you say this was on historic QSOs? And do you mean, does it happen live?
If it happens live, you would probably see it as he's doing the logging. I would think that's probably something that's historic, that dates back to an import, or it dates back to when we actually had a problem about a year ago, I suppose. Yeah, about a year ago.
Well, I think, Jeff, probably the same advice in terms of looking at the forum maybe, and then if it's not resolved, then please get back to them, because as we can see from Terry and all of his team, they're very keen to get this program working as well as they possibly can for you.
Well, I mean, if he's finding that when he looks, say he looks at a QSO right now and he doesn't get a frequency logged, then he really ought to contact us and we'll try and find out what's going wrong. It would depend on his setup. It could be that the frequency is not coming in from his radio for some reason because the interface is not picking it up. I don't know.
No, that's fine.
Well, if you've got that problem, contact us. We need to know.
You can see that you're really keen to know. Thank you very much for that. I hope that's helped you, Jeff, as well. Mike Alset, G4POP. Can you move the position of the various windows within the main window? For example, the log entry window to the lower half of the window. Thanks.
No, you cannot.
Okay.
It was designed to not be one of these floating window type of programs. We do provide floating windows, but for specific reasons. So, for instance, you could have the work before window as a separate window like that. Some windows you can detach, but the input window for the actual call sign, no.
Okay, thank you very much. Another comment from Matt, M0PTO. This may have been covered already, he says, but I don't think it has. Is there a built-in keyer for CW contest logging?
Sorry, say again?
Is there a built-in keyer for CW contest logging?
Yes, there is.
Could you give us a demo of that?
I showed the keyer earlier. In the keyer window, if you see the little crown there, that's turns it into contest mode. As soon as you do that, it will go into contest mode.
I hope that helps then, Matt, to see that. Thank you very much.
Once you've selected your contest and set up your radio and everything ready, that will record all the QSOs you make during the contest and log them as that contest. So you'll be able to export with the contest details, the exchange and everything, or just look at them, check what you've worked. I will say it is not designed to be a contest logger as such. If you're really a hot contester and you want like the really good N1MM type contest logger, then what you should do is to use N1MM, but then interface it with Log4OM. What would happen then is that as you log in N1MN, that QSO would automatically log straight into Log4OM. The difference being that when you log it in N1MM and you save your log, if you then export an edit file, it hasn't got full details in the log for each QSO. It's got the basics you need for contest, so it wouldn't have lookup data and that sort of thing. But it does work very, very well. N1MM for contesting integrated with Log4OM saves you an awful lot of work.
I did see actually when I did a little bit of homework earlier on and looking at the website and details of that, I could see that you actively promote them being used with things like N1MM, which are mentioned specifically, aren't they, on there as being compatible.
Whilst talking about compatibility and integration, just give you a little quick brief on what we integrate with. We integrate with all of the WSJT programs like JTDX, MSHV, and so on. We integrate with FL Digi, N1MM, CW Skimmer, Bandmaster, MRP40 if you want a Morse decoder sender, the Expert SDR and SDR radio console software for SDR stuff, PSD rotator, Step IR aerials, Expert Electronics Sun SDR radios, Flex radios, and almost every radio that's current has cat control via Omni-Rig and ham-lib. So it does integrate quite well.
That's quite a list. That's really good. I think probably about the last question of something for demonstrate, if you could, for us. This is from Ian M0HUI. He says, can you show how your program supports the WAB award, how I would log a call and the square, please?
Right. You've got me. I don't do WAB, so I've got to work this out as we go. Right. First of all, you would put the call sign in and it would do the lookup. Now, if you go to the awards tab, WAB, find the grid, the reference, double click on it. It goes into this window here and you're ready to go. When you save the log, that will have the WAB square logged. Does that answer the question?
I hope so. I would think so. If you've done a demonstration like that, this is quite difficult for sometimes to see. We're sending this in HD, but I hope that's helped you on that, Ian.
I mean, I'll just in case show another award as well. So you've logged the WAB, but supposing that it happens to be on an IOTA island, you can at the same time log his IOTA island. Yeah, and perhaps he's on that island, but he's on the top of a mountain. You can at the same time log the mountain he's on. So you've got the SOTA award, the IOTA award, and the Work All Britain award, all in that little awards window. The other thing that I might add is that if you look at the cluster, if there's an award in the cluster, let's find one which has got one, hopefully. With Murphy's Law, there's not one tonight. Good Lord, I don't believe that. Wow. Oh, wait a minute, what's this one? Yeah. Right, you see this one I've just clicked on in the cluster has automatically filled the input window at the top here, N2PQJ, and here's an IOTA, but it's automatically filled the IOTA award number in for the user. He hasn't had to go looking for it because we interrogate this notes field in the cluster. If there's any award reference in there, we'll apportion it to the QSO. So saves a lot of time and trouble. That answered the question on the awards for the Work All Britain guy?
I would hope so. Yeah, I would hope that that's helped. We have had just one more question come in at the last moment as well. This is from Ronan Campwell. I'm sorry I don't have your call sign if you have one. When filling in contacts retrospectively, i.e. not today's date, every time I change the start time, the focus keeps jumping back to the call sign box. Am I doing something wrong, he asks.
Well, if it's just the odd QSO, just one QSO, what I would do is I would see the little red lock button to the right of the time.
Okay, so just for people watching at home, say, or maybe on a small device, that sort of top left-ish of the screen there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just it. I would look the QSO start and end time. I would change the date. So let's say so it's 3. And I would enter the call sign. And there you see it hasn't jumped back or anything. If I now add that call sign, the time and date are still locked. There's no change at all. So I don't quite understand what his problem is. Yeah, but if he's got a lot of QSOs to add, then the best thing he can do is to go and use this facility called LazyLog, which enables him to enter a lot of QSOs rapidly. This is what a lot of guys who are doing SOTA and that sort of stuff and POTA, and they're out in the field logging by paper, they come back home and they use this to rapidly put in the entries in a log. And that works very, very well. So you've got two ways of doing it.
Okay, well, I hope that's helped you, Ronan, as well. So that's wrapped up all of our questions, Terry. As I said, once again, I'd just like to thank you and all of your team for providing such a comprehensive piece of software. And clearly, you've demonstrated tonight as well that you actually care about this software. You want it to be as good as it can be. You want it to be reliable. And I think that's a wonderful dedication, especially when you're making this program completely free for radio amateurs. So thank you very much to you and all of your team for what you do, and of course for tonight. And I'll leave it with one comment from somebody else. This is from Terry2E0IPK, who says, I've been using this software since I met Terry at the Essex Skills Night in Danbury, and it just keeps getting better and better. Thank you, Terry.
Crikey, that's going back a bit, yeah.
So there we are, lovely. Thank you very much, Terry, for all of this work and for joining us tonight and presenting the programme to us.
Well, thank you very much for having us, David, and allowing us to display the program to people. And it is free, and we hope they use it. And if they've got a problem, I hope they come to us. We'd much rather they tell us about it than tell everybody else, and we're not be able to put it right.
Sure. So contact you, give you a chance. Yeah, absolutely. Many
73.
thanks.
73.
73. Thank you, Terry, and you. There we are. So that concludes this webinar, and thanks once again to our guest presenter, Terry Jeans, G4POP. Love that call sign. Thanks also to Studio Director Tammy Palmer, M0TC, and the RSGB team who helped put this series together behind the scenes. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this Tonight at 8, and if you'd like to see details of this and future webinars or recordings of past editions, there's 28 of them now, please visit rsgb.org/webinars, where you can also send us comments and feedback. And before I go, I'd just like to bring you details of the RSGB construction competition, which has just been launched, and entrants have the winter evenings to complete their projects before the deadline on March the 1st, 2023. Entry is free for all RSGB members and will be again online this year, so you won't have to send your work away to be judged. Well, you can find out details by going to this special web page at the bottom of your screen now, rsgb.org/construction-competition. And of course, full details will also be in forthcoming Radcoms, including features about previous winners. And finally, a tip that if you subscribe to the RSGB's YouTube channel, you'll be notified of all upcoming Tonight at 8 webinars, as well as other new videos and presentations from the Society on a wide range of amateur radio topics. But until next time, this is David G7URP signing off and clear. Bye-bye.